going through life, it's like you're always learning something new about whatever you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're always going to be constantly learning something.
ADHD Rewired, episode number 41. This is the show designed to help those of us who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. My name is Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, coach, and consultant. We know that starting can be the hardest part, so let's get started. Go to erictivers.com/coaching rewired to let me know that you are ready to make 2015 your most productive year yet by joining the next ADHD Rewired coaching and accountability group. Go to erictivers.com/coaching rewired. Support this podcast and get a free audiobook download by going to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired. That's audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired for your free audiobook download. Hello, ADHD Rewired community. Eric Tivers here with another episode of ADHD Rewired. Just a couple of things before we get started with today's interview. The holidays are coming up, and one way that you can support this podcast, if you go to my podcast landing page, which is erictivers.com/podcast, or just go to ADHDrewired.com and then click on the podcast icon. I am working on fixing that URL to make it easier to get you guys to where I want you to go. I'm already on a tangent within about 30 seconds of trying to tell you what I'm about to tell you. It's a good thing I have notes, because now I'm going to look at those. So the holidays are coming up, and if you go to erictivers.com/podcast, you will see on the right side there is an Amazon search bar. I am an Amazon affiliate, and one really awesome way that you can support this podcast is by going through my website when you shop at Amazon for these holidays. So it doesn't cost you anything more, and I get a couple pennies on your purchases. So I want to thank you in advance for doing that and letting you know that is an option for you if you did not know that already. And let's see what else. Oh, what do you think of the slightly abridged intro, the shorter intro that I'm trying out, which I'm now making up for by a rambling pre-introduction to the show. And for this week's episode, I want to also let you know to head over to my website. Go to erictivers.com/41 for episode 41. And I'm going to have on there posted a video of this week's episode that I recorded the video via Skype, and then I also have in there, I left some extra footage. So there's some bonus footage so you can kind of see how it all happens. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. And if you like that, leave some comments below the video, because I'll have a space for comments there. And I think that is all the information I have now. So without further ado, let me bring you this week's episode with Jennifer Ratliff. I am here virtually with Jen Ratliff. There's no T on the end. It's Ratliff, right?
Yes.
Okay. Jen Ratliff. And she is a college student at Belmont University, which is in Nashville. She is originally from Kentucky. And she's actually been a member of the Facebook community group really since it started.
Yeah, I think there were like less than 20 people when I joined.
I think when the first like 10 or 20 people that were in there, I think I just pulled them in, and they're probably like, what am I doing here? So I don't remember if that was your experience, but you've been around in this group for a while. And so you do have ADHD, and yes. You were diagnosed when you said 14 years old?
Yes.
And you just recently returned from a long trip in what you refer to as the Little Land of Denial.
Yeah, or another name for it could be ADH denial.
So welcome back from the land of denial into the land of I have ADHD, and it's okay, and we're figuring these things out.
Yes,
So you said you were diagnosed when you were 14, and like most teenagers, you know better than all adults. You shared
yes,
with me that when you went to see that psychologist, you were pretty convinced that that psychologist didn't know anything, and that you were right and he was wrong, or she was wrong. So take us there a little bit first. Well, first tell us a little bit about who you are, in addition to what I had just kind of set up. So you're a college student. Tell us maybe what you're studying, and then we'll kind of go back to where you started.
Okay, I am studying music business, which is, well, the degree I'd technically be awarded at graduation is a degree in business administration. But I get like a few extra classes to learn about specifically the music business and working in that kind of realm. And I don't know, I've loved country music for a really long time, and I would love to like do something in Nashville. Like that's my current idea. So
What would your dream job be?
I don't even know, because you think you know, like that there's all these things to do in the music business, but there's so much more than that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like decisions. And then, decisions take a while sometimes.
That is a common feature of ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Because often the problem is there's so many choices and they all look good. And so then we get stuck in kind of analysis paralysis. What should I do?
Yes. So I am kind of in that, like, because I'm in the first class of that major and learning about all of that. And it's just like, so what do I want to do? Because I kind of have to figure these things out.
Well, sort of. You want to stay focused to get that piece of paper. But then after that, it's what you choose to do. You can change your mind later on, and you can recreate and reinvent. I mean, I'm a therapist with a podcast. It's like I make it fun. So it's I think that one of the positives, but also that can be a challenge when you have ADHD and you have all these interests, is that you have all these interests, and it's hard to focus on one long enough to do something with it. So I think it's a fun industry to probably be in. I don't know that much about it. I know that there's a lot of different aspects to it. I know some people that are in it, but I think that it's going to be a fun journey for you. So now you transferred from where to where?
I transferred from a school close to home called Northern Kentucky University.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went there for 2 years, right out of high school. NKU is that school where everybody from high school is kind of like, oh, let's go there.
Okay, so it was like you kind of brought your childhood with you.
Partially, because I did only go to public school for the 4 years of high school.
Okay.
Before that, I went to Catholic school. So.
And how was that for you?
Catholic school was different. Yeah, it was different, and there were things that happened throughout that experience where it's like, seriously?
Do you want to share any of those, or should we move on?
Well, I had a crazy kindergarten teacher that sent me to the assistant principal's office because I accidentally knocked over pencils.
Well, why'd you do that?
I have no idea.
Shame on you.
But she took me by the arm and took me upstairs, and then that assistant principal would later be my 7th grade English teacher.
Was that a good thing or no?
I don't think she remembered. So good thing.
Okay. So you said around 14 is when you first got that diagnosis of ADHD. Yes. What was going on at that time that your parents brought you to get in to see somebody and get that diagnosis?
Well, my parents at that point were separating.
Okay.
And eventually they would be divorced once the whole legal process worked its so-called magic.
Okay.
And
is that still hard for you?
Not really, because I can see now that I'm older, like, how much better it is.
Yeah. Because as you were saying that, as I have the ability to see your facial expressions, and I just heard this tiny crack in your voice when you were saying that, and I was like, ooh, it sounds like this, it still might be hard, or maybe just the memory of it is what you're thinking of.
Yeah, it just like the memories of it can be difficult still, because it's like, because my dad got remarried kind of quickly afterwards, and so
that must have been weird, hard. I mean, what?
Weird.
Yeah.
Especially because my stepmom is so much younger than he is. And it's just kind of interesting how that works. And then like having step siblings and that kind of thing.
Wow.
It's interesting.
So this happened all pretty quickly, you said. And so in the kind of whirlwind of all of this, when you were 14, you were having some difficulty coping with all this, it sounds like.
Yeah. And then like, my parents were separating and divorcing. And then I was going to transition to public school for high school.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, it's weird. I have all of these periods of like extreme change sometimes. And it's just like, change is awesome. Possibly.
To a degree. It's kind of that idea that once we start figuring out some of the self-management of our own symptoms, we really can be very rigid on our systems until we get bored of it and we walk away from it and need that change because we're bored. And so it's like, keep everything the same until it's boring. And then I got to change everything. And then it doesn't make sense until I've sit with it for a while. And now we're back to, I think I've been here before. So, okay. So you initially went into counseling to help with kind of processing the divorce.
Yes.
Okay. Then what?
Somehow, some way, the whole ADHD thought came up again because one of my cousins has it, and my mom had kind of thought for a while that I had it, but we had done like a thing with one of my doctors before where we gave like...
You had done a thing.
But like scale, like where they got the scale thingies, technical
like so you stepped on a scale and...
Like...
Sorry.
I
so
know.
You did the rating scales.
Yeah, they gave like the rating scales to my teachers, but the only thing that they agreed on was talks excessively.
Okay.
Because, that happens.
But you're a girl, that's expected, right? So we dismiss everything else?
Yeah,
But there was a lot more going on.
Yeah, it's just like, talks excessively was the only thing that they really agreed on. And my doctor was like, I don't think you have it. And I think it was more of a hesitation about medication that made her say that.
Made the doctor or made the teacher?
The doctor.
Okay.
Say that. I think she was kind of like, because she did not, I remember something she said, and she just did not seem a fan of stimulants.
And it's such an important issue. I'm glad that you brought this up. I was actually made a comment on, I think I got an email from a listener just this morning, and let me see if I can actually pull that up really quickly. So I got this email this morning, and from someone that contacted me through my website who listens to the podcast. First name is Beverly. And the subject of this email is adult ADD meds. Her son is, and I'm going to leave some of the information out. Her son is in a volunteer organization in Texas, and he just ran out of his Adderall, which was prescribed from the college doctor. He is told that his doctors won't prescribe it. Maybe a psychiatrist, but no appointments for 3 months, and they probably don't take health insurance from the volunteer organization that I'm remaining nameless. Let's see. They're from Minnesota, and she asked me if I've ever heard about therapists not being friendly or understanding of adults with ADD. Is there such a terrible problem with drug abuse or with Adderall that doctors don't like to prescribe it at all? And I responded to her saying that, unfortunately, this actually is a very common problem.
It is.
And that, it's an issue that I think is not getting enough coverage. People love to talk about how, the people who are abusing the medication,
Exactly.
but they're not talking about the people who actually need it and have to jump through, hoops that are like on fire and they're moving.
Yes.
And, it's so, I haven't really figured out the best way to really draw attention to the story, but every time it makes my skin boil.
Oh, yes, I've seen you in the group. You've just been like, seriously? Because I can't remember who it was, but they posted about the Tennessee laws, and I was like, what?
Right, wasn't that like you had to like pee in a cup every month or something like that?
Yeah.
And fill out like reams of paperwork?
Counting her pills, that too. Yeah, and like that made me mad because I'm like, I should not permanently move here if the laws are like that.
Right. So we bring this up because you were saying that your doctor wasn't really comfortable with prescribing the medication.
Yeah, my doctor at that point was apparently not. Yeah, I had a doctor after her, another doctor after her, and now my current doctor.
And the doctor you have now, is he or she comfortable with prescribing?
She's cool with it. Yeah, she's just like, she's not happy with some of the side effects that I'm having with the one I take right now.
Can you share this with us?
Yeah, it's mostly the appetite and weight loss kind of deals.
That is a common side effect.
Yeah.
Because you had mentioned in our I'm going to try to talk now. You had mentioned in our previous conversation that you had lost some significant amount of weight, and you're not a big person to begin with.
No, I'm not.
Somewhat dainty.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, people call me tiny sometimes. And yeah, I lost, like, the first month I was on Vyvanse, I call it the magic month because...
The magic what?
The magic month, because it was like, oh my God, this medication is so working. Like, it's totally working, and I can totally tell that this is totally working.
And then...
It's not had that totally magic feel since. And then I go to the doctor, like, just after a month to kind of like, oh, how's it doing? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like, your weight's down 9 pounds.
Wow.
Like,
in
what?
1 month.
Yeah. Although with the fluctuations that I experienced, I was on the high end.
Okay.
I will say that.
Okay. Did you realize that you had lost all that weight?
No.
Okay.
No one else had either, apparently. And because of the first round of times that I was on medications, and on the first one, I lost a lot of weight over that period. And so when I lost 9 pounds in a month and no one else noticed, and not even I noticed, I kind of let everybody around me have it. I was just like, how could you all not notice? And it's like, they were all baffled, I think, too, because that's crazy.
So what are you doing now with medication?
I'm still on Vyvanse. I'm hoping that when I go home next month, I can just say to my doctor, like, I don't think I should do this anymore. Just because, like,
the Vyvanse.
There's also like sleep issues and like one time, I was trying to climb up onto my bed because I'm sitting on the other bed in my room because I don't have a roommate. And so my bed is actually lofted, and I was climbing up, and I started having chest pains and I felt dizzy. I have not slept in that bed since. And I already know that the medication can increase my heart rate just because of what it is.
It's a central nervous system stimulant.
Exactly.
So it sounds like you're working through some of the medication management, and it's helpful, but some of the side effects are definitely of note that need to be looked at. Yeah,
because my doctor would barely write the prescription for me, like right before I came down to Tennessee for school.
Then
Because,
do you track like your symptoms and side effects?
oh yeah, I keep pretty good track
Do you
of.
do you actually write it down?
I don't write it down. This is what I told my
You
psychologist
don't
when
keep it in
she
your head, do
recommended that I
you?
use a planner. I'm like, because I'm like sitting there and I'm telling her about all the things I have to do, like at this one point, and she's like, "Do you just keep all of this in your head?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's like,
You're
"No."
you're making your ADHD worse by doing that, just so you know.
Uh-huh. Yeah. This is why I'm
You have
20 years
you have
old.
the smile on your face. That's the typical ADHD smile of, I know you're right, but I haven't done anything yet to change this.
Yes, exactly.
Just like I know how important sleep is, and yet the last 2 nights in a row, I was at my office until midnight, which I had not actually done in quite some time. I
Yes,
think my
because you
brain
had.
was still kind of in overdrive from the Chad conference.
Yes, like get out of overdrive, Eric. Spend time with your family or something.
I know it's and I have to thank my the group that I'm in right now, the ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Group, because I participate in that with the
Yes.
accountability partners, and so my accountability partner was on the spot with me, and she made me send her a picture of myself in bed. Don't worry, the covers were completely covering everything. It was just that accountability, and it probably wasn't for
Yes.
her. I probably would have never left my office 12 hours later. So, Jen, help me out here. What the hell are we talking about? Looking at my notes. And just so the listeners know, before I hit record with Jen, I was telling her that I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. My brain's feeling a little bit foggy, and I was going through all this pre-show stuff that I go through people, but I think I kept going through it, and then I realized that I think I was just procrastinating to hit record because my brain was just feeling a little bit foggy. So I just thought I would share that with everyone, because I know what effects sleep, the lack of sleep has on me, and I know that I was interviewing you when I was looking at my calendar yesterday, and all that knowledge still didn't seem to help. It's
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, I have the knowledge, but I'm not going to act on the knowledge. Like, I'm just going to do what I want.
Yeah, and that's the weird thing is that I actually want to go. I get stuck, and
Yeah.
and I understand that is a brain function that's going on. It's not that I don't care, because I do care. It's like the part of my brain that needs to activate my body in order to make the action happen does not work as well, especially in the evening when my medication is worn off.
Yeah, that's yay, happy fun times.
Yes. So there's a couple of different reasons that I figured why it's been going on the last few days, and I'm already setting up some kind of bringing in some systems that I have had in place, including my favorite piece of software on my computer, which is Freedom, which blocks me from the internet. But when I recently updated my Mac to Yosemite, it came with an update for Freedom.
Oh yeah, my Mac just asked me about that this morning.
Yeah. So you have like a preset schedule, and it reset the whole schedule, and I just haven't gone in and redone it. But I did share that with my accountability partner, and it's on my to-do list today to reset that. And now that even though this will be probably listened to in several weeks from now, just me saying it sometimes is one more step to actually making your intention turn into an action.
Yes.
So, speaking of intentions and actions, I remember being a college student, and after I got that diagnosis when I was a college student, which was after I almost failed out of college, and started taking Adderall, and that really was a game changer for me, because now I was actually able to study and focus on one thing at a time, and except I was what I would describe as the hardest working, least efficient student. Writing was a challenge for me, and one of the things that you said, that writing is also sometimes a challenge for you.
Yeah, like sitting down and actually doing it, and then just putting the thoughts together in a way where I'm not jumping around too much, or like shifting my focus and in the middle of a paragraph or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I say that I speak and talk in run-on sentences.
I also do that.
Like I speak and I write in run-on sentences sometimes, and I need to cut down on that habit because there can only be so many prepositional phrases in a sentence, and the answer to that is not 10.
So what are you doing to try to improve on that?
Mostly I just have to I just kind of have to be disciplined with myself and say, you need to break this down.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this sentence. I've taken sentences before and I've written them down, circled every single preposition in them because I know my own patterns by now. And then I'll be like, what is unnecessary? What is completely not relevant?
Mm-hmm.
And then I start to be able to throw out parts of the sentence just because it's I'm going off on a tangent or something in the middle of the sentence right now.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you write, do you pre-write? Do you do any kind of outlining or mind mapping?
I am really bad about pre-writing. I pretty much only do pre-writing when it's forced by a professor.
How about by a podcast host?
Potentially, because
okay. So here I'm going to give you a challenge. Do you have any papers that are coming up that you haven't started yet?
Short ones, but yes.
Okay, I am going to challenge you to spend a good amount of time on the pre-writing process, whether that's a mind map or an outline, however you do best with that. One of the things because the mind mapping or outlining process gives you that ability to piece together your thoughts, and now you have a structure on how to piece together your paragraphs. It's the paragraphs that get a lot of extra fluff in it, and the natural kind of inclination of pre-writing, of mind mapping or outlining is it's kind of a fluff-free zone. You just put the key pieces of information, and truly that's what you're going to use to kind of glue together your ideas. I found that one for me, because I used to do this too. I'd have this huge run on things and 3 pages of a tangent. Then I'd have to go back and look at what was my topic sentence, because those last 3 pages had nothing to do with what my topic sentence is. And so I found that by doing the planning process, when you spend that time to plan, you're going to get to save time later that you spent doing the planning. So can I ask you to maybe share with us what the next assignment that you're going to do, and then maybe post in the Facebook community group your pre-writing and then your post-writing?
Yes. Okay. I don't know which assignment I will start on first because they are.
And just so you know, she's looking up in her head because that's where all of her key information is being held.
Yes.
Oh dear, Jen.
They're both. Well, they are written down in my planner, but it's either going to be my final English assignment or my final religion class assignment.
Have you ever done mind mapping?
No, even though you posted about it maybe 100 times.
I think that it's such an amazing tool for people who have a lot of tangential thoughts, because it actually allows it's structured completely to enable an organized use of tangential thoughts. So if you have a random idea, you're not sure where to put it, you just connect it to the main idea, and then it kind of sits there until you can figure out how it's pieced together. So with outlining and writing, you have to think linearly, right?
Yeah.
With mind mapping, you really have to. I mean, you don't have to do it linearly. You can think completely randomly, but then when you're finished, you have a piece of something tangible in front of you that now you can put together in a linear paper.
Yeah. Yeah, and these will be shorter, so they're good to start with.
When can we look forward to seeing your first mind map?
Okay, she's officially assigning that on the 1st.
So you're looking at your calendar?
Yes, my nice planner here.
Which is fully decorated to the brim in Hello Kitty stickers.
Yes, because I'm like a child, basically.
And I think that there is so much value in that. I think anything we can do to make it more fun, more interesting, is a really good thing. And so if
Yes, because when I told my psychologist that I keep it all in my head, she's like, "You need a planner," and I'm like, "Okay, whatever you say."
Well, it's something that's really important to know too. It's not just people with ADHD that need a planner. There's a lot of neuroscience that shows that the less we have to use our prefrontal cortex to be able to recall information and organize our information, the more we have available for decision making and our other executive functions. So, even David Allen and getting things done, which even though I think there's a lot of value in that, I don't think it's a very ADHD friendly approach. If you're familiar with that. But one of the things he says that you got to get everything that you intend on doing needs to be written down and out of your head. Everything. And so I think that's a really valuable point. And it's not just people with ADHD that need to do this. It's really everybody.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I knew about this, but I still wrote you down in my planner. You're on here.
Awesome.
Yes. And it's just like, yeah, now I do write everything down, and I've been using this thing for months, and it's just like, dang it, she was right. Because I totally get like that sometimes. Just like, dang it, I was wrong and you were right.
You know what? I love those moments. I really do. Because it's humbling. I like to learn, and when I realize that I've had this, like, oh, that's why you should do it that way. And one of the things I think is very true about people with ADHD, and certainly myself included, is that while we might be experiential learners, we don't always learn from our experiences, which can be really tricky. It's why we tend to repeat a lot of the same mistakes over and over. But part of that is the way our brain works, is that we know that there is impairment in the ADHD brain from connecting consequences to future-oriented behaviors.
Interesting.
Yes. So our basically our reward and consequence system of our brain doesn't work as well. So we need very frequent rewards, and big consequences don't tend to stick as well as we would like them to.
Yeah,
which is why people will say, "Oh, you just don't care." It's like, no, it has nothing to do with that.
We totally care. We just apparently have no idea what we're doing. Still.
I was just saying to you, Jen, right before I hit record, that by the time this episode comes out, I'm going to be somewhere in the 40s of how many episodes I've have done.
Which is awesome.
And I thank you. Thanks.
Forever since number 1.
Say that again.
I've listened forever since number 1.
Oh,
so.
Thanks. And now I completely just forgot what I was going to say. I'm looking up to the sky, hoping that piece of information will come back to me. Come on, working memory, come back. It's gone. Moving on. And
awesome.
Oh, I was saying that I felt like I'm still new at this. Like I was right before I hit record, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm missing something. I think that's just me being kind of tired.
Yeah, but I mean, going through life, it's like you're always learning something new about whatever you're doing. Like, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're always going to be constantly learning something. And that's
fun to me. That's why, that's why I embrace this whole idea of failing forward. Because, I'm good at failing. So it's like, why don't I just embrace it and learn something from it instead of trying to fear it? Because when you fear the failure, it prevents you from moving forward. So I should figure out a way to tag the episodes that I've done or I'm definitely have not had enough sleep versus the ones that I have, and just listen and see the differences between the two.
Yes, that would be an interesting self-study.
Maybe I can have a grad student contact me and study it that way. I'd be glad to contribute to research. Okay, where are we going from here? Here would probably be a really good time since we were having some fun. Tell me some of the things you like to do for fun. You said you like to read.
Yes,
which I thought was really interesting because a lot of people with ADHD don't like to read. Have you always enjoyed reading?
Yeah, I really have enjoyed reading. This is a really interesting fact about me, and you're going to just be like, what? I actually read before I talked. Like,
Please tell us about that.
I started reading when I was like 2.5, my mom said.
So hyperlexic, they would call that.
And, like, I finally started saying things that people could understand when I was like 3. So I always say that when I talk excessively, I tell people, oh, I'm just still catching up. Like, I'm still doing it. I'm 20 years old and I'm still catching up. It's fine.
Well, that's true, actually. It's when you look at ADHD as a developmental delay, that, we're, from basically 5 or whenever you get a diagnosis, or as early as you can get the diagnosis, till about 18, we look at ADHD as having about a 3-year delay. The frontal cortex of the brain, including some other areas as well, truly does have about a 3-year maturation delay, but it does keep catching up. So your perception of that is actually very accurate, and it's very aligned with what we understand from the science of studying ADHD.
Interesting. Yeah. And then like through elementary school, I had like the best librarian ever for like 5 years of elementary school, and like she always kept me engaged with it, and yeah, I read like crazy. And then like the standardized test stuff, like I'd actually do good with the reading stuff. Math stuff is a different story.
How bad was it?
Oh God. I don't even know how bad it was. I just know it was really bad, and I really hated math class, and once I actually got in trouble for reading during math class. Like,
That's
I'm
great.
just sitting there. I was like in 5th grade, and I'm sitting there and I'm reading my book, and yeah, I got like the notice sent home, like, yeah, Jennifer was reading during math class, and I got in so much trouble at home. Like, my mom was like, you can't do that, and I'm like, but I wanted to read.
This
Not do math
stuff, I don't get it.
Yeah, not do math. No, that's ridiculous.
So you were telling me that there's a book that you just finished reading, I think.
Yeah, I've read it like more than once, and it's just a favorite.
And that book is?
It's called If I Stay, and it was just a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. People might have seen like previews for it or whatever. And so should I go into like what it's about, I guess?
Sure. Give the brief synopsis of it.
Okay.
Everybody dies at the end. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So this girl Mia, she and her family are in a car accident because it was like a snow day and they were just gonna go like visit friends or whatever. And so yeah, they end up in this car accident, and I don't want to like spoil it really badly, but she ends up in a coma. Like, it's not just like a little fender bender or like anything like that. And she kind of has to decide if she wants to like stay in the world or she wants to like die, I guess. I don't really know like how else to describe it other than that, but she has to kind of decide,
will she live or will she die? If you want to find out, I know you can go to audibletrial.com and get a free download of this book, because you did say that you found it on Audible.
Yes, I had to search through forever because I literally have a list of like 10 books, and I had to narrow it down, and it was like the worst thing ever.
Well, maybe you could share some of your favorite recommendations in the ADHD Rewired Facebook group, because I know that there are other people who are interested in reading things other than about ADHD and personal growth. Sometimes it's just nice to read a story. Yes. So I'm going to take a quick break and thank our sponsor and share everyone with everybody just a little message about the upcoming coaching group. And we'll be right back.
Audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired for your free download. Trial.com/ADHD Rewired. Trial.com/ADHD Rewired. Go to audibletrial.com/ADHD Rewired for your free audiobook download.
Hey guys, Eric Tivers here, and over the next few weeks to about a month, you're going to hear me talk a lot about the ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Group that is set to start in the middle of January. But instead of me telling you all about the benefits that you could receive from it, how you can increase your productivity, achieve your goals, all of which are true, I thought it might be actually more powerful to share with you from somebody who was in our group this past time. I'm going to share with you Chris, who is a school principal, just a brief clip regarding his kind of reflection of the group, and this was from a recent coaching call, and this was shared with permission.
Now that I look back and reflect on joining this group, I don't really remember exactly what I expected from the group, or was it just going to be ADHD strategies, or was it going to be fulfilling goals, chasing vision goals? And it's been very powerful to see that the last 12 weeks has been a defining of a roadmap for my own self-confidence, and with that self-confidence comes more productivity, and with that productivity comes goal attainment. And so this is kind of a real specific foundational focus that I have taken from the group. I had to have a relentless accountability partner. He was relentless, and I needed that. There are times in some forms of accountability where I just needed the positive reinforcement. He would ask questions on why I had not gone to bed, or even examine my sleep cycle data, and be pretty respectfully critical of times where I had slipped or where I had not done what I had said that I was going to do. So, and then several things happen, and it's not magical, it's obviously physiological and mental, but is that I wake up. I would say a majority of my anxiety is gone. I would say that I have a completely different outlook on the day ahead. It changes, chemistry-wise, it changes me in so many ways that I just can't describe. But most importantly, it's the time. It's the time for myself, the time to sit down, and within 30 or 45 minutes, the day can be planned out. And I can find that I have time that I did not believe existed prior to that. But it comes with that partner of getting the sleep that I needed.
I just want to thank Chris for allowing me to share that with you. And I would love you to share with me your interest in joining the next ADHD Rewired Coaching and Accountability Group. Just go to erictivers.com/coaching rewired. That's erictivers.com/coaching rewired to let me know that you are ready to get your ADHD rewired. And we are back. So you also had mentioned that when you're looking through Audible, that you found another one that was called The Impossible Knife. What was it called?
The Impossible Knife of Memory.
And to me, that sounds really interesting. Memory,
yeah,
but you said it was 9 hours, and you didn't want to torture the listeners.
I didn't want to torture anyone, no, because I thought a 9-hour audiobook for a group of people with ADHD, that would be, unless they got really gripped by the story like I did when I read the book, I don't know how that would turn out.
Yeah,
I there like, this is torture.
I think the last really, really good audiobook that I that was in the fiction, I think I don't know if it's a true story. The Kite Runner, is that fiction or nonfiction?
I think that's fiction, but I have never read it. My sister has. But
I listened to it. It was amazing.
Yeah, there's so many good books on Audible. I was like, oh.
And the reader makes all the difference, and you can preview the reader when you're going through it.
Yes, I did that too, and I was able to take some off the list because I'm like, I personally do not like the sound of this reader.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
I was like, I'm getting picky here, I feel like, but.
So we got a finely hand-picked recommendation from a member of the tribe. So thank you for doing that. We appreciate that.
Not a problem.
Okay, so we are getting towards the end-ish of our only on an ADHD podcast do you describe time as end-ish. We're getting towards the end of this episode. I'm trying to think out what are some of the things that I have not asked you about that I wanted to ask you about. You had mentioned that regarding accommodations at college, that you've had a hard time kind of getting some of them, and some of the issues you've had with some of your professors in regards to securing your accommodations. Will you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Accommodations are complicated because I get extended time on tests, but on certain days, my classes are sandwiched, like together, like they're all right in a row consecutively. And I can't miss part of like if I took extended time with the class in the middle, I can't miss part of the class after that or part of the class before that to start or finish with my extended time.
Can you ask your professors if you can get like a page at a time? So if you don't finish it, you can come back to finish it?
Yeah, I don't know, but it's crazy because even on the day where I have one class, I went ahead and had that professor sign the paperwork because I knew that I would be able to use them if I really needed them. And when she signed it, she was just kind of like, there's not really like a place for you to have the extended time, and it's kind of like complicated. She basically said that it was a pain in the butt without actually using those words. Like she just kind of it's kind of like everything she was saying just kind of implied it. But I mean, she's a really, really fantastically cool professor. And so and I haven't needed them in that class, so I can live with that.
Mm-hmm. And, in all fairness, that when a professor has to provide some accommodations, it does create extra work. So one of the things that you can kind of think about is how can you create a win-win situation? So for me, when I was in college, my freshman year, I had accommodation set up with the Office of Disability Services, but I think I used them a total of once. What I did is I actually talked with all my professors even before class started, and built basically relationships with those professors, and we made our own kind of accommodations, which I think they probably preferred because then I didn't have to get the test to the testing center, and then because I actually like to take the test in the class, that was more conducive to my learning, and then I can ask the professor a question if need be. So I found that I got more accommodations in college just by asking individual teachers or the professors for that time. Sometimes I would follow a professor back to their office and take it. Other times I would do it in over the course of a day or two. So if I didn't do it all at once. So there are options there.
Yeah.
So just, always ask your professor, say, would you be willing to, or would it be easier for you if?
Yes. With one of my classes, everything except the final is an online test. So he can just go into the system and add it, which is great.
Okay.
Because I did actually use that once. I think it was when I had to do math. Yay!
Yeah.
Because math.
So what about, do you get, as far as an accommodation, can you have an accommodation where you're able to get some of your papers and long-term assignments broken up?
No, I didn't get that sort of accommodation.
So that's a type of accommodation that you can get, but it's going to be best if you do it just by meeting with your professor. And say, I have a hard time breaking these kinds of things up. Will you kind of sit with me for, 15 minutes and help me break this down and then hold me accountable? Can I turn parts of this into you? So that is something that I've worked with a lot of clients on, is how to kind of renegotiate the terms of the course with the professor.
Yeah, I had an English professor at my last school who was fantastic, and like, I mean, she's amazing. And she would make us pre-write. She would make us do drafts, and we'd have to go back and like actually like look at things, and like I would send her drafts and all that stuff like all the time. Like, can I get your feedback on this? And like, this is what I think might be wrong with this, because I tend to do that too. I tend to, like, if I'm writing a paper, I will go and be like, this is everything that is wrong with this paper, and just make like a list. And then half of that isn't true, apparently.
Do we have some perfectionistic qualities?
Yes, because I will totally think that something is wrong with the paper, and they'll come back to me like, no.
Jen, this is brilliant. The best work ever.
Yes. And I'm just like, no, it's not. I have to make it better. And I remember being mad in that class when I got a 90, which is still an A.
Really?
On a paper. And I was mad about it. And I like did the rewrites for it, so that like, because in that class you could also do rewrites to get like a better grade, and like just kind of like,
to me,
change.
like that should be a standard part of schooling, like all through school, like the chance to like fix what you did wrong, like including tests. Like that's how learning happens. When we mess something up, the opportunity to do it better, that's how learning happens. So sorry, that was a little side tangent, but something I feel strongly about.
Oh, no. If you feel strongly about it, go ahead. And part of my whole being young thing, I like learning all of these things and just like gaining more of the knowledge and understanding. And awesome.
Okay, so speaking of being young and having this mind that, is constantly looking for things, I have a few more questions, but these questions are going to be part of the random question round.
Woo!
This is the part of the show which has nothing to do with ADHD, which then paradoxically has everything to do with ADHD. Yes. Okay, so my first question is, if you can invent something, what would it be?
I've always struggled with this question. Maybe something that would magically give me more vanilla Coke. Like, that'd be nice. Instead of like having to go to the store and buy it and all that. Just like wave some kind of like wand and my favorite beverage just appears in front of me.
So I've had a similar idea to that. And that is, so at a restaurant, that you know how they have like all the soda lines that go into the soda fountain, but it's so like, usually the boxes with the syrup and everything are in the back, and then having that channel through every table, and so you can just get your own refills right there at the table.
Brilliant.
I think it's fantastic. But it's funny, I don't really drink soda anymore.
Oh, see, I drink tons. It's bad.
Okay, next question, which I actually haven't thought of yet, is you are about to walk into do you live in a dorm?
Yes.
Okay, so you walk into a dorm, and your hands are full, but you see a nice little old lady who's struggling to open the door, and you can tell that she needs help. You also see an attractive young man who is there maybe to do some maintenance work. And you see that he is about to spill over a can of paint, and you can tell he doesn't realize he's about to do it. How do you help the situation?
Here's what I'm thinking. I would probably have my backpack on. And so I would probably try to figure out a way to put the things in my hands in my backpack so that I could help with the door. And then, because my voice is loud and I can yell, I would try to yell at the maintenance guy, like, you're about to spill the paint. I don't know.
There was part of me that was thinking you were going to say, I'm just going to take out my phone and start recording and watch this all happen.
No, I am like, Yeah, I'm somehow the person that people are like, hey, I'm not going to class. Can you turn in this assignment for me? Sure. Yeah, I'm that person. So,
Do they realize that you might forget to turn it in?
No, because I don't.
Okay.
Like, that's one thing that I'm, like, good at, because, like, sometimes, though, that, like, them saying, can you turn this in for me, reminds me that I have to do it myself.
Okay, so you are going to be, you're majoring in music business.
Yes.
And imagine for a moment that you are managing a successful band. What is the name of this band, and what is their number one song?
Oh my gosh. So I'm making up a band here?
Yep.
Okay. Let's go with, the band is called, I don't even know. The Purple Penguins.
Okay, the Purple Penguins. They just came out with their debut album with the hit song.
I Wish I Lived in Antarctica.
And would you mind singing a line from that song?
I can't really sing. Like, it's bad.
That's okay. We're like almost 15 minutes in. No one's listening anymore anyways.
Okay, so like, I wish I lived in Antarctica where all the penguins are. I wish I lived in Antarctica where all the penguins are. I don't know. Just, they want to be around their own kind. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I'm processing that. It has potential.
Okay.
What's the second hit on this album?
Oh, maybe I should have gone to Africa instead because of African Blackfoot penguins. They actually live, like, in Africa where it's kind of warmish.
I thought penguins like cold.
Most of them do, but African Blackfoots are different. Like, they can, like... So there's an aquarium near home for me, and they, like, have a penguin parade, and they use the African Blackfoot ones.
Like a real penguin parade?
Yes.
Like, there's actually, like, penguins going down the street on floats?
They don't, like...
And passing out candy?
They don't go down on floats and pass out candy, but they, like, walk around in the morning, and then, like... Yeah, I love penguins. I'm obsessed.
That's fantastic. If you had a pet penguin, what would its name be?
I don't know. I guess it would depend on the species. I guess I would have to have an African Blackfoot. And let's just say that their scientific name is donkey-like.
Bless you. This is supposed to be a family show.
Yeah.
Wait, say it again. Donkey lick?
It's supposed to be like, it's jackass. That's what it is. I'm serious.
Wait, say it again?
The scientific name of an African Blackfoot penguin is jackass.
That's the scientific name?
That's the scientific name of it.
How is it spelled?
Like jackass.
Like, just as it sounds.
Like the name Jack, connected to the word ass.
Okay, it's science, all in the name of science.
And I learned that as a 6th grader.
Oh my god, I remember. I don't even remember how old I was. I was probably like in 2nd or 3rd grade, being sent to the office when I was in, and when I went to Hebrew school, I think it was, and we would read a passage and it had the word ass in it. I could not contain myself. That was not fair to put me in that situation, and I would just, it would get me in trouble.
Yeah. I think even...
And I think even to this day, if I was in that class, I would still get in trouble for laughing.
Yeah. Because, like, I remember this kid, like, had it in his project, and he actually looked at our teacher before he would even say it, and, like, our teacher, she went ahead and, like, nodded her head, just like, okay, you can go ahead and say it.
Which also reminds me of when I was in 5th grade and we were studying the planets. Now, when I was in college, and I took an astronomy class, which was completely fascinating. It was just every single class was just like, Ooh, I loved it. It was great. I got to actually control the planetarium. It was so cool.
Wow.
So my point to the story was, so our professor would refer to the planet as Uranus. Well, when I was in school, they did not call it Uranus. They called it Uranus.
No. Yes.
And as a 5th grade boy, that is the funniest thing ever. And my teacher knew that I would not be able to not laugh. And so when we were all assigned to write something on the board about each planet, of course she gives me Uranus. Thanks, Miss Getz. You were still a pretty cool teacher. So we're going absolutely to random land at this point. It's not too far away from the little land of denial, but it's a lot more fun.
Yes, I love the randomness. That's probably one of my favorite things ever, because I have all of these notes here and I didn't talk about like half of them, and it's just hilarious.
Well, and I did tell you that tends to be how it goes. We all prepare these notes and we usually don't use them. So I kind of use them for when I get just really lost. I'm like, where do I go next? So, but I do think that we covered most of what we said we would.
Yeah.
So, Jen, I want to thank you for sharing your story with me and for hanging out with me on ADHD Rewired.
Oh,
Are there any last kind of parting words that you want to, from the Ivy Leagues or Ivy Towers or wherever you are, or whatever color it is up in the university, there in Nashville? Any final words you want to leave us with?
Let's see here. If you're in denial land, get out. Let's go with that.
Okay, that works. And why? Why should someone get out?
Because I guess in a way it's like you don't know what you're missing. You have no idea what you're missing, and in life, you should always get out of that space where you think you know better than everyone else.
Brilliant. That's awesome.
Listen to other people. Sometimes they are actually right. They may make you take the most boring computer test of your life, but they're right.
Jen, you were wise beyond your years.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again. And you can talk to Jen in the ADHD Rewired Facebook community. And just to remind everyone, you have to request to be in there, and please check your inbox, because I do ask you some questions before I accept that request.
Yes, you go to messages, you hit other, if it has a little one next to it, and it's probably from Eric being like, are you a real person or a spam bot?
Exactly, because I have definitely been able to screen out some spam bots, and it's definitely a level of satisfaction when I'm like, aha! So, if people want to talk to you outside of there, is that just the best way for people to reach you?
I also tweet excessively. It's hard to keep it to 140 characters sometimes, but.
And what's your Twitter? What's your Twitter name, feed, handle?
My Twitter handle is jkitty107, because I have not changed it since I was like 14 and made that Twitter account, because too many cool people have replied to me through that handle, so I'm not changing it now.
I think that if I got a tweet from someone with the J Kitty name, I would think that you were like 14.
Yeah, but I mean, you do follow me on there, so.
Yeah. But I don't know what that says about me. So, anyways, Jen, truly this has been a lot of fun. I'm glad that we were able to play a little bit, and I appreciate you really sharing your story.
It's not a problem, because we need to put our stories out there so that people have more stories to connect with and see maybe part of someone with, maybe see themselves in someone with ADHD, and that's what pushes them. So.
Well, again, thank you, and I'm always just so grateful for anyone who comes out here to share their story. So. This week is your week, so thank you very much. And that is all the time we have, and we will see you all see you. This is an audio podcast, so I'm not going to see anybody. We will talk to you all next week. Take care. Well, ADHD Rewired community, thank you for listening to another episode of ADHD Rewired. If you are new to this show, I want to welcome you to the show and to our community. If you have not done so already, it would mean the world to me if you would go over to iTunes or Stitcher and leave a quick rating and review. I know it can be hard to find that where to leave a review on Stitcher, so if you just go to my website, that will be the easiest place. Just click the Stitcher tab on the right. Just go to erictivers.com/podcast. We are on Facebook. Like our page, but submit your request to join our free and growing community. And please check your other inbox, because there's a good chance that there is a message from me waiting for you. If you live in the Northern Illinois area, you are invited to the Northern Illinois chapter of CHAD. We meet on the third Monday of every month in Grays Lake. On December 15th at 6:45 p.m., I will be presenting on ADHD 101, which I'm now retitling as, Oh, Now I Get It. So this is a really fun and good presentation. So if you are in the area, I would love to encourage you to come out. And we are on Facebook and on Meetup. And just as a quick note, CHAD does not endorse this podcast or me, but I think it's a great resource. Don't forget, if you would like to be a part of the next ADHD Rewired coaching and accountability group, let me know at erictivers.com/coaching Rewired. And next week, I'll have an announcement about something cool and free that you might want to know about. This is Eric Tivers. Thanks for listening. Until next time.